Welcome to Subramani. You see many books here, right? These are some of the books that I have written. In fact, I've written 3 books, or 3 books have been published. One of them is this Get Rich, which is for doctors, right? It's called a wealth prescription for doctors. No, I'm not trying to pitch the book because I don't even know whether it is available, because the publisher who published all my books is gone out of the publishing business. CNBC does not publish books anymore. So even if you want to buy these books, they are not available. So I'm not pitching this book, but I wrote this book as a wealth prescription for doctors. And I must have addressed upwards of 6,000-7,000 doctors, talking to them. And the first chapter I thought I should redo or talk about it is why are doctors not rich? Because of course there are some doctors who are fabulously rich, very very wealthy. There are some but that is not true for majority of the doctors. Leave out the top 5-10% of the doctors, and the others are at best middle class or upper middle class, but not really wealthy the way some other professionals have become, right? So what are the reasons why doctors are not so rich? And I've written, this is how I start the book, with this chapter saying, first of all, doctors start earning late, right? So if you let us say you do MBBS, you do MS, you then let's say you end up with DM, I think you will be 31 by the time you finish, right? So 31 is the time when you start earning. Of course you are earning a stipend before that. While doing, just after your MBBS, you start earning some stipend, but that's not really earning, right? So that you need that kind of subsidy to continue, whether if you're going to get married or any of those things, that is just subsistence kind of thing. It's okay if you're staying with your parents. Of course if you're staying in the hostel and being subsidized by your parents or something like that, but otherwise, yes, doctors start earning very late. That is lesson number 1. And as usual, nothing is taught to doctors also about personal finance. Now don't get me wrong, chartered accountants, lawyers, architects, everybody goes through the same phase. We are not taught anything about personal finance. What is a bank, what is a mutual fund, what is insurance, is not taught. Chartered accountants might hear more about mutual funds and insurance during their article period when they go and do audits. So if I'm doing the audit of a mutual fund, obviously I would have heard about a mutual fund. I would have interacted with them, but that still does not mean I will be a good investor. I would have at least heard about it. Doctors don't get that chance also. But similarly, if you're a doctor and you have some mutual fund employees or mutual fund agents as your patients, then good chance that you also would have heard about them. But beyond that, nothing is taught. No personal finance is taught. So you start late, you're not taught anything about personal finance. And also in the country, or rather in the whole world, where just pick up any magazine. Of course I agree, magazines are out of date. If you pick up any good magazine also, if there are 14-15 ads, there will be one perhaps urging you to invest or save. Other 14 would be urging you to spend more than what you can afford, right? So if you can afford a Honda City, buy a Toyota Corolla. If you can afford a Toyota Corolla, buy a Mercedes, right? So they need to upgrade you constantly. So you will have to borrow. So it's much easier. It's the culture is more of spending and borrowing, or rather borrowing and spending, whatever it is, whether it is a vacation, whether it is a foreign vacation, or whether it is an Indian vacation and you need to borrow for that because you want to do that vacation today, or whether it is buying a bigger car, a bigger house, anything, you're urged to borrow and spend rather than save and invest. That is not pushed. You're not taught. Even mutual funds will come and say, why don't you do an SIP for you to use that money to buy a car or buy a house, right? It's some goal-based investing. That incidentally is the name of another book. All those things will happen, but you're not asked to create wealth, so you don't create wealth. So that is another thing. Another problem for doctors is when they start, wherever they start, they work very hard, whether it is their own clinic or whether they are working in a big hospital. They work very hard. Very unlikely that they will come home and sit with numbers and say, oh, I need to invest. That hardly happens. Very very rarely does it happen. I mean, unless it's from a culture of a family being in investments. If your father, mother, brother, sister, somebody is making that a profession and decides to take charge of your money, that is different. Otherwise, on your own, taking the initiative, assuming your father is a senior executive in a company, your mother is also a doctor, and you are a doctor, very unlikely that you will want to talk about money and investing and all that. It's hardly in our culture to do that, right? And obviously spending is much easier than spending is much easier than saving and investing, so you also do that. Another reason is it's very, very easy to sell to doctors. All you have to tell them, oh, aap to doctor ho, that's enough to raise them on the pedestal, and they will definitely imagine a doctor going to buy a, let's say, lowest end car, a Zen or a Indigo or an Indica, right, something like that. He goes to buy, or even worse, Nano. You think he or she will be able to buy that car? The answer is very, very unlikely. He'll say, आप तो डॉक्टर हो सर, आपको कम से कम ये होना चाहिए, and so he'll upgrade you to a Honda City or something like that. Very rarely, unless the doctor stands up and says, no, my clinic is in a small place, I can't take a big car, I need a small car. My wife also drives, so she doesn't like to park big cars, so we need a small car. It has to be a very big convincing story for the doctor to buy a small car. It's not going to be very easy. Of course, all of us lack financial education, and doctors are no exception to that. Another problem is doctors get bad advice, because doctors do not know from where to seek advice. They just turn around to somebody, could be neighbor, father, brother, sister. Father is a mining engineer in Goa and he has just retired, but then he becomes an advisor. He tells you what to do. So all the money is in bank fixed deposits, and then there is cash, so it goes into real estate, and first the house is bought, right? All priorities, everything gets bobbed because you've not got good advice, because you didn't seek good advice, right? So if you did not find a good financial doctor for yourself, blame yourself. But yes, this is the problem. Even when they get an advisor, it would be a bank, or it would be a real estate agent or life insurance agent who will want to peddle his own product. So I have seen doctors with 22 life insurance policies, some payable on a monthly basis, some payable on a quarterly basis. How he is able to manage, I have no clue, right? So 22 policies, 25 policies, some payable quarterly, some payable half yearly. It's a huge mess, but that's he thinks that is investment, and he was showing me all those policies, and the the sum assured was not adequate and the premium was too high. Well, that's a problem. The problem with doctors also is when they do get a financial professional, they don't treat finance as a profession. They just treat it, this guy has come, he'll fill up some form. And there are two questions which doctors should ask. One is, kitna return milega? This is a standard question which everybody asks, and the doctor has very little ability to process that answer. So whether he is told 8% or whether he is told 24%, he really doesn't know what is the follow-up question. It is page not found, right? So if you say 8%, he will not give a pushback saying, oh, but I get more in SBI fixed deposit, because that guy will say, no sir, it is only 6.25% in SBI and this is getting you more than 8%. He's silenced, done. Second question he asks is where to sign. So the investment advisor will definitely give 50% of the answers very honestly. Where to sign, he will not make a mistake. But what to say depends on what the doctor is saying. If the doctor says, oh, bank came and he was promising some impossible 19-20% return, and then he starts a conversation, he knows fully well that he should not give a figure more than 12%, because that is more than PPF and it doesn't sound outlandish like 19-20% which the previous banker had given. So you know his mindset, and that is how he gives that number. So that's bad advice. Can doctors get rich? The answer is yes. They can get rich, they can get wealthy, but they have to follow some principles. They have to understand that that they are in like their own profession of practice, which takes 20-25 years to build. Wealth portfolio also takes 20-25 years to build, right? If you want to get, if you put on 15 kilos, 20 kilos in the past, say 2, 3, 4 years, It will take you at least 1 year to take it off, right? It does not happen overnight. Oh, I just want to get rid of it. You put it on gradually, you will lose it also gradually. That is what happens, right? So just like weight reduction or anything, you need professional help. Seek professional help, because the maximum money that you're going to make is in your profession, right? So concentrate on that. Seek professional help, sit with the professional and learn. Tell the professional, I should not need you after 5 years. That is the way to approach. Not to say, oh, I will do everything myself, and then not do it at all. I see doctors inadequately insured, not investing their money, earning less, right? So when a doctor earns, I see 35-year-old doctors, a 35-year-old, 38-year-old doctor earns much less than a 35 to 38-year-old software professional or a finance professional. So please, if your children want to become a doctor to earn a lot of money, they're mistaken. The medical degree is not the best way to earn money. If you want to earn money, become a banker, right? That makes more money. You make more money as a banker who can cater to or a software engineer catering to the whole world, because what you make can be sold to the whole world. So you you start in a business, you spend in rupees and earn in dollars. This may not hold for the next 20 years, but I'm saying as of now it is working, right? So decide what you want. If you want a lot of money, becoming a doctor to earn a lot of money is not a very sensible thing to do. Well, many people may talk about it, but no, that's not the way to go. There are better professions where you can earn more money. I am not even, if you want to anyway serve humanity, you like medicine, you want to be helpful to people and have a decent life and a good earning and good reputation, become a doctor. But if money making is your primary motive and saying, oh, doctors are so rich, so I should do it, well, if you're in the top 5% or 10% of doctors, you could be rich. Some of them could be fabulously rich, but that's not true for the average doctor. So as long as you understand that, I think it's good. And let me repeat, I'm not pitching this book. I don't even know whether this book is now available. If it's not available, I can't do anything about it because the publisher is out of business. The only way I can you can get this book is by if I write it again with a different publisher. That I have not yet decided whether to do. So I'm not pitching the book. I just use this book because I'm going to read out parts of this book going forward. Not immediately, but yes, going forward I'm going to read out parts of this. There are some interesting stories. So we'll talk about that. Thank you. Thanks a lot.